Folks, hello and welcome to Module 2. I hope everybody has enjoyed the first week of the course and everybody's settled in. If this is the first time that you've used zyBooks, I hope that experience is going well. If not, and there's something I can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out. So Module 2, we've gone into overdrive here in our second module. There's a lot going on this week and a nice variety of topics to look at. So let's just take a look at quickly at the learning objectives. Solve problems using unit analysis and conversions. And as we think about unit analysis and conversions, effectively you can think of all sorts of applications where you have numbers that have units attached to them. And what do I mean by units? If you're driving down the road in your car and you're on the interstate, it's likely that you're driving 70 miles per hour. And the units that would be attached to the magnitude of your speed are miles per hour. Or if you are, let's say that you are getting ready to make or do some baking, and a conversion might be instead of using cups, you might be asked to use portions of a cup, or you might be asked to use teaspoons instead of tablespoons. And so if you want those foods to taste good in the end, obviously we need to make sure we get the right amount of each ingredient. And it's very possible that in the course of making that great batch of cookies or a cake that you have to do some sort of unit conversion. We're going to break from unit conversions and have a quick discussion about geometry. And geometry is one of those things that has lots of applications in our daily lives, whether we're outside working in the garden or trying to do a renovation at home. There's all sorts of obviously geometric figures and geometric applications. And so this will be a nice little in tandem, I guess, as we work in parallel on unit conversions and unit analysis and doing some work in geometry as well. And it's also a great point to make here is obviously when you start talking about geometric figures, let's say, for example, you've got a triangle that one side is given in feet, the other one's given in inches, and perhaps the third is given in meters or yards. And obviously, that's not an apples to apples comparison, as I would say. So in order to make that an apples to apples comparison, we need to make sure that we have the units correct, or the units are consistent along all three sides of the triangle in order to do any sort of computation with it. And then thinking ahead towards your course project, we're going to talk a little bit here about sources for reliability, bias, and accuracy, and those terms will be discussed throughout the reading. In terms of the assignments this week, same as last week, there's a participation activity in zyBooks, and then there is a challenge activity in zyBooks as well. You will have your second quiz, and that is primarily a geometry based assignment. So as you go through the reading in zyBooks for geometry, obviously you want to make sure that you're paying very close attention to that. And then finally, to wrap up the week, again, we're going to start looking ahead here a bit towards the project. And you're going to write a bit of a journal entry this week on evaluating credible sources. And I've got that linked here. Let's see if we can just hop over here and take a quick look at that. So effectively what's going to happen here is you're going to be given a number of sources available at this link. And then once you take a look at those sources, you're going to evaluate those sources based on some criteria that is provided here in the credible sources checklist. So that will be, again, a nice little exercise for us to get in the mindset of this project that we're going to start beginning next week. So this will be a nice exercise. Again, as I always say, please make sure you're taking a good look at the rubric before you get started, and then that will guide you and obviously give you a kind of a second checklist on the things that need to be included in order to do a good job on that assignment. if you've not submitted an assignment before through Canvas, once you have completed your journal entry in obviously keeping in mind here the rubric, you'll go up here to the course menu tag, and if you go down to assignments, there's a host of assignments here that you'll be submitting. If you simply click on 2-4 journal, you will have a spot where you can upload that, and that way I can grade that for you. But if there are any questions on that, please let me know, and we'll get you squared away there. So let's see, that's learning objectives and the week 2 assignments. Down here in the bottom left, I've left this emphasis here on the course project. These top 3 links are the same links that I talked about last week. Again, if you've got 15 minutes to spare this week, I would recommend that you take a spin back through these links and just take a good look at this and make sure you're getting your mindset or getting your mind squared away towards approaching this project. And again, the 2 keys are, number 1, what is the context of the project? And number 2, how are you going to be graded? So, another look at the rubric and then the assignment as a whole would be time well spent. Like I said, if you got 15 extra minutes this week to take a look at that. And just as a little reminder here, I got this bumper sticker down here to remind you that your project proposal will be assigned and due next week. So we're obviously looking to have a pretty good grasp on that, within the next 7 days or so. Let's see. So then finally, let's wrap this up here with some concepts, terminology, and notation. And again, since there's so much going on this week, I thought we would take a spin through the participation activity in zyBooks and see what this is all about. So let me, I got this hyperlink for us here. Let's go over to learning modules, and then we will go down to our participation activity in zyBooks. So the first thing, again, in the spirit of terminology, concepts, and notation, the first thing that you're going to encounter this week in the reading in zyBooks is this idea of rates. And one of the commonly used rates, and I think I already mentioned this, is miles per hour. But you can think of any number of things that have a rate assigned to them. And so we're going to take some time to go through this week, and I think this will be a nice exercise. This first activity right here, I think, is a very good one to start with. Effectively, you have a company that sets up restrooms for outside events. And I think, let's see, in this case, they have a ratio for every 1,000 people that they expect need to show or expect will show up, they need to have 9 restrooms. And so the question asks here, what happens if I'm expecting 3,000 people? And so this computation over here will be very helpful. And notice effectively what you're seeing here when you look at this 9 restrooms per 1,000 people. And again, that is a rate of itself. And notice the left-hand side of this equation is being multiplied both in the numerator and the denominator by 3/3. So effectively, you can think of that as 1, which does not change this rate on the left, or just to the left of the multiplication symbol. And then it will tell you that you need 27 restrooms per 3,000 people. Just as a quick point here, when you see, and I'm trying to highlight the division line here, and when you see that, and especially in a rate application, that line will tell you that we're talking about 9 restrooms per 1,000 people. So that line is effectively being used to represent the word per. And so as you go through these, be mindful of that. You're not going to see per, I don't think, in the math, but certainly make sure that we're recognizing that what looks like a division line is the written word per. And so there's all kinds of nice things going on here revolving around rates, and this will be a nice drill for you. The one thing that I did not point out last week, and I just want to remind folks of this, is I believe there are either 6 or 7 sections of the zyBook that we are going to study this week. When you get all the way down to the challenge activity, notice at the very bottom here, you have a link to take you to the next section of the textbook. So you get some more unit conversion work there. And then let's see, I just want to make sure, just scrolling through this here, I want to make sure that we get to, oh boy, all kinds of unit analysis and conversions going on here this week. Yes. So around section 2.5, and like I said, your quiz this week will be heavily geared towards geometry. So you want to make sure that you navigate all the way through section 2.5 and 2.6 to take a look at some of this work, and be very, very mindful of some of the formulas that you will need to compute, whether it be linear distances or two-dimensional figures, or even three-dimensional figures. So be very careful of that as you go through. And I just want to take one more. Yes, there are actually 6 sections here this week. So make sure you get all the way to the 6. Actually, I'm sorry, there are actually 7. So there is a 7th. So just make sure as you go through the Xi book that you are getting all the way to section 2.7. And then next week we will embark on chapter 3. So like I said, we've shifted into overdrive this week with a lot going on. But again, I think from a critical thinking standpoint, geometry is one area where we can do a lot of things, where there's computations, where there's unit analysis, unit conversions, and certainly a myriad of applications. And then, of course, as you get into your evaluation of credible sources, again, we're trying to make sure that we're looking forward towards that group, or I'm sorry, not the group, but the project that is required towards the end of the course. So this will be a good week to, again, really kind of challenge us mentally, and then again, some things that are going to work in tandem to really get us geared up for this project that's coming up, and again, with your proposal due next week. So I hope this is helpful to kind of set the tone for the week. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know, and keep up the great work. And I'll look forward to your journal this week, and also any questions that you might have on whether it be geometry or rates. Have a great week.